Ambassador Huckabee, very good to have you with us, sir. Thank you for joining me today.
Great to be with you, Martha. Thank you for having me.
So this lines up exactly with what the prime minister said would be the goal right after October 7th, that he wanted to eradicate Hamas from Gaza and also to bring all of the hostages home, and a huge number of them have returned. 20 are said to be alive still in Gaza. But at this hour, this afternoon, there's a very important conversation going on with the Israeli government as Netanyahu tries to get them on board with this plan. And we know that there are some who are in dissent, do not want to go forward with this plan to take all of Gaza. Is there anything you can tell us to shed light on how that process is going?
Well, there's no perfect answer here. The perfect answer would be that Hamas would surrender. They would lay down their arms. They would release all of the hostages, not a few, but all of them. And this would be over. And the people of Gaza would be able to pick up the pieces of their lives. Some would decide probably to leave. Others would want to stay and rebuild their lives, but do it without Hamas. Let's hope that can happen. But the way it ultimately takes place is something that I don't think there's perfect agreement on. But that's why you elect people like a prime minister or a president to make those tough decisions. And, you know, President Trump has been so clear. He has said consistently, without equivocation, Hamas is not going to stay. They can't have a future in Gaza. And quite frankly, Martha, to do anything else would be like leaving the Nazis in Germany after World War II.
Yeah, I thought his Berlin analogy was very interesting. You know, you wouldn't ask the Allies to stop short of Berlin when they're about to finish this war. And I just heard Mark Levin saying, you know, there's a winner and a loser at the end of any war, as difficult for humanity as war is. Does the United States support Netanyahu's plan to go in and to eradicate Hamas and, at least temporarily, to take possession and control of the whole Gaza Strip?
The president has made it clear that he respects that Israel has to make the decision that is best for them, that gives them the greatest level of security, that gets the hostages home. The president is not going to try to second guess what Israel is doing. I will say that there's almost a daily conversation between the White House and Israel. They're our closest ally. In fact, I like to say we have friends, we have allies, but we really only have one partner. And Israel is that partner because of all the things that we share at a level that is unlike any other, whether it's intelligence, military, or quite frankly, the foundations of Western civilization are in the Judeo-Christian norms that we have both in Israel and in the United States. It's what gives us that unique bond. It's our value system of democracy and freedom. That's what, frankly, makes us so very close as partners.
Let me ask you this. We see protests tonight in Tel Aviv. We've seen them before. Bill Hemmer reported live from there that they are quite large this evening on the as this decision comes to the forefront from Benjamin Netanyahu. The hostage families are very, very concerned that a full throttle takeover of Gaza will mean that their loved ones might never get out. What do you say to them?
I say that I think every person with a heart in the world, that heart goes out to them. No parent wants to have to deal with what these parents have gone through. And if I were one of the parents, and I dealt with the hostage families, I deal with them almost every day, certainly every week. There's nothing I can say that will adequately give them comfort or a sense of everything's going well, because it isn't. But it's not going well because Hamas, and we saw the pictures over the weekend that showed that Hamas was starving the hostages. With all the pressure that has been put on Israel to feed the people of Gaza, which means feeding Hamas in many cases, because they steal 97% of the food, why didn't somebody put more pressure on Hamas to feed the hostages? And I wonder, where's the Red Cross, the Red Crescent?
Good question.
Where's the humanitarian effort that is concerned about the emaciated pictures that we have seen and people being forced to dig their own graves? This has to end soon. I hope it ends with all of the hostages who are alive, still alive, but it has to stop at some point. Hamas has created too much suffering, not just for the hostages, but for the 2 million people who live there. And when I was there last week and talked to people in Gaza, the Gazans, the one thing they made clear, they don't hate the IDF, they don't blame the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, but they do hate Hamas. And by the way, they do love America, and they're grateful that we have involved ourselves in trying to get humanitarian food to them.
These reports that people are getting shot, and that when Bill Hemmer was there, and I know you were just there recently with Steve Witkoff, he said he could hear gunfire, and he asked the IDF about it. Are civilians, Palestinian civilians, being shot at these humanitarian sites where food is being distributed by the IDF?
No, they are not being shot. There are all kinds of stories that they're just being massacred. The only time that has happened is when a large group overruns an Israeli position and they ignore verbal warnings, then they ignore shots fired in the air, and they ignore shots fired at the ground. But this idea that there is massive killing, I would only tell you it is, but when I asked the Gazans, here's what they told me. They said, yes, if people are getting killed going to the feeding sites, not the GHF sites. That has not been the case. But they do get killed, but they get killed by Hamas. And every single Gazan I spoke to told me that they had a family member that had been murdered by Hamas. These are the people that are supposed to be their government. Instead, they're their tormentors. And they're the ones who are responsible for the deprivation. They're the ones who are responsible for the disastrous consequences of now 22 months of this nightmare.
Last question for you is a personal one, Ambassador. I remember reading a text message that you sent to President Trump on June 17th that he shared. And you said, you sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure that our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. That was while there were missiles being traded between Iran and Israel, a very dangerous time that you have been ambassador through so far. Your thoughts when you look back on that post and what this has meant to you?
Just grateful to God for the privilege of being here and serving my country and serving my president that I'm so proud of. He made one of the most important, consequential decisions that any president has in the last 100 years. He did it with courage and conviction, and the result of it was that the war only lasted 12 days, and it obliterated Iran's nuclear aspirations. He did more than simply send a message to Iran. He sent a message to our friends that they can trust us. And the president sent a message to our adversaries that they better fear us. I love being here. I consider it an extraordinary honor. And I feel at home here. And I feel I'm doing the Lord's work.
Well, Ambassador Huckabee, I want to thank you very much for speaking with us today, especially on the heels of this really important interview that Bill Hemmer did with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And we really hope and pray for the future of security in the region. And we're grateful to you for your time as ambassador there and for joining us today as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Martha.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.